Would have to have been living on another planet not to know that the Just Stop Oil protesters have come for another sport. They've had snooker, they've had rugby, they've had cricket. There was huge concern. In fact, a colleague's friend had to queue for, I think, 3 hours, was it, that his friend had to queue before he could get into Wimbledon because they were doing such close inspections. But as we know, a couple of activists did get through and disrupted play, not once but twice. Here were the details. LBC's reporter who was at Wimbledon yesterday, Charlotte Lynch. Charlotte.
Yeah, Nick, Just Stop Oil protesters managed to get onto court 18. The second grass invasion, shall we call it, coming as British number one Katie Boulter was on court in the middle of a tie break. Here's how it unfolded for viewers of the BBC's TV coverage.
Stop-start day at Wimbledon so far with the rain interruptions, but feels like we're going to be good now for the afternoon. And another disruption for the second time on court 18 today.
So the first two demonstrators got onto the court around 2:10. They threw orange glitter that had been disguised in a jigsaw box onto the court. That briefly halted contest between Grigor Dimitrov and Sho Shimabukuro, and officials had to use leaf blowers and a hoover to clean it up. Then a little over 2 hours later, another man running onto the same court as Katie Boulter was battling for the first set against Australian Darius Saville. Again, orange glitter thrown everywhere, and Boulter and Saville even lent a hand to help clean it up. Katie Boulter spoke about the disruption to her match afterwards.
You never know what it is. I think I heard the crowd before I saw anything, and then I realised what it was because I saw it in the previous match. So it was obviously a little bit of a shock to the system, but I think we both handled it really well, and it's a really unfortunate situation.
Well, she didn't let it put her off. She's through to the second round. Security, I have to say, really quick to remove them. There were 3 arrests on suspicion of criminal damage and aggravated trespass. And as for the jigsaws, which seemed to have been bought from within the grounds, they were jigsaw puzzles of the Wimbledon centre court view. Well, they've now been taken off sale.
Charlotte Lynch reporting. Now, I don't think we need to debate the rights or wrongs of Just Stop Oil again, on this occasion at least. Instead, the idea that I put in last week in a conversation with David in Glasgow, this was after the demonstrators had disrupted the cricket at Lord's, and I said this: when you stop walking slowly across London, trying to disrupt the cricket or the rugby or the snooker, you will have an hour of this show. There's a deal. Ready? Done?
Okay.
Subsequently, we've heard from one of the Just Stop Oil press team who says that they would be willing, and I will quote directly, to stop our marches in July the 24th in return for an hour of the show. But sadly, then they say what they'd want to cover, which is fine, I get it. And while they say this is, and I quote again, a brilliant offer, it doesn't get us our demand. The government commits to no new oil, gas or coal. So that means the full campaign won't stop until we get that commitment. Well, obviously, I can't give a government commitment. And I sense Just Stop Oil can't actually commit to stop protests such as we saw at Wimbledon. So here's the question. I cannot believe I'm saying this. As a journalist, God knows how many years I've been in this business. Do we actually stop covering the news? Because it is news that some, to my view, misguided people run on and throw confetti and jigsaw pieces on a tennis court. That is what makes news, because people talk about it. But now, are we actually just feeding the beast? Ella Whelan is a columnist at Spiked Online. Ella, time to stop covering Stop Oil. Morning.
Well, it's an interesting idea because the main tactic of Just Stop Oil, as everybody knows, is not to gain mass support. So it's not to gather thousands and thousands of people in Parliament Square or do what people usually do when they're trying to make political change, which is go the democratic route and prove that there's public support for their cause. They have, and Extinction Rebellion have, likewise been explicit in saying we're not interested in doing that. We're not interested in having votes, in going down any kind of democratic route. It's simply about making enough noise so that we guilt trip politicians into doing it. So in that sense, yes, giving them what they want is media attention. So we would all do well probably to stop having so many of them on our programmes, breakfast shows, chat shows, talking about the kinds of things that they talk about. Obviously, the same as you as a journalist, any kind of official media blackout I would be utterly opposed to. It's, every station and newspaper's decision to do what they want. But I think your proposition actually should provoke some deeper soul searching in the British media, which is that, never mind the Just Stop Oil, these kind of middle class pensioners who are throwing glitter at Wimbledon. I cannot think of anything more middle class, by the way, so it's quite toe curling to watch. But the narrative of this is the thing that annoys me the most. They've actually half won, because the demonization of energy, of oil, of fossil fuels is already an argument that's been won in politics. Whether it's the Conservative Party or the Labour Party, all they talk about is we need to do less, consume less, have less energy because we're killing the planet. And so in actual fact, I'd like to see more, rather than banning coverage of Just Stop Oil, I'd probably like to see more coverage of the other side of the argument, of people who say, I'm actually not on board with this sort of project of eco-austerity.
Right. Ella, thank you. Ella Whelan, columnist at Spiked Online, who sees the merit of actually this show not covering the news, which is a really strange thought. Should we go to Just Stop Oil? Fiona Atkinson is a spokesperson, joins me now. Thanks for coming on. What would the reaction be if I stopped covering your colleagues' work?
It would depend what you covered instead, Nick. If you started to cover the climate breakdown as it's happening now, and as it's affecting all of us, and as it's causing extreme problems all over the world right now, people dying every 48 seconds in the Horn of Africa. It's a threat to our food supplies. Anything that threatens our food and water supplies is a threat to our safety, our economy. If only news outlets would cover it like that and keep covering it every day, like they did COVID, like they do the sport, then we would be delighted to stop all this. This is not about us wanting attention.
Oh, no, stop it. Please, no, I'm so sorry. No, I'm sorry, respectfully. People running around throwing orange confetti on a court, but please don't say that's not about gaining attention. Please, I don't care what you treat me. Don't treat my listeners with such contempt.
No, not at all. That's what it takes, Nick. You've just said it's.
You're not seeking attention.
No, what we want to do is get a discussion on here about climate breakdown. We do not want to talk about our tactics. Whenever you get one of us on here, we say we don't want to talk about our tactics.
Why not?
We want to talk about climate breakdown.
Why should you dictate the terms of the conversation?
Because the problem is the media doesn't cover what needs to be covered. It covers what's interesting.
Dear God, so now you're the editors as well, are you?
No, that's what we've
This
learned.
never ends.
You cover what's interesting, you don't cover what's important. What is important is climate breakdown and the fact that our government is intent on opening new oil, gas and coal fields when every scientist in the world...
Do you have any...
screaming, no new oil...
Yeah, I know, we've been down there.
You dismiss it, Nick. You've just dismissed it.
Yes, I have dismissed it. I have dismissed this because of the actions that you take that are inherently selfish, extraordinary, that you think you have the right to disrupt an afternoon's tennis as you try to disrupt a morning's cricket, as you disrupted games of snooker. It is unbelievably selfish, and I really hope, if I was to just stop covering Just Stop Oil, and you went away, I would celebrate. It would be a marvellous day, because I find your tactics, not you personally, depressingly dreary, middle class and out of touch. A final response from you, and then I'm going to calls.
Wouldn't it be wonderful
if you stopped? Beyond wonderful.
If we had a reason to stop, that is that the government stopped all new...
Well, I think we should stop. I think we should stop coverage of Just Stop Oil.
That's all we want.
What? You want to stop coverage?
Cover the climate instead. The government.
Don't tell me how to edit a show. Thank you. Don't tell me how to edit a show. Thank you. I'm grateful for your time. No, I've had enough lectures now. Thank you. Goodbye. Fiona Atkinson, I wish you well personally. You're with Just Stop Oil. Don't tell me how to edit a show. Thank you. I think I've been doing it slightly longer than you. Possibly. 14 after 8. Is it time to just stop covering Just Stop Oil? John in Birmingham. John, you're on the radio. Your view. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Oh, my days, that's just absolutely blown my mind. What an absolute ridiculous individuals.
Well,
and I tell you what, it's going to come to the point. it's going to come to the point. I can't actually remember what Just Stop Oil's all about, because their stupid actions at the tennis, at the snooker, at the cricket, that's what they're getting known for. They're not getting known for what the message they're trying to get over. What agreements apart. And do you know what really, really gets me? UK number 1 was on that court yesterday.
Yes.
What happens if that would have thrown that poor girl off her track?
They don't care.
She could have been on the route to greatness.
They don't care, John. They don't care. So do we stop... Buddy, do we stop covering them?
Pull them.
Huh?
Pull them.
Pull the coverage. Okay.
Don't cover them anymore.
All right, I'm going to start a vote here. Hold on a second. John, safe driving, thank you. Hang on, just yes or no. Right, one to that. Right, Chrissy in Bexhill-on-Sea. What do you say, Chrissy? Good morning.
I say, Nick, good morning. The first time Just Stop Oil started doing anything, I sat up and listened.
Yes.
And I have waited ever since to understand exactly what it is they want me and everybody else to do. And ever since then, I've been waiting. And ever since then, I've thought, will you stop doing this? I just want to listen to you now. I want to know exactly what it is we are all meant to do.
Oh, that's an interesting point. That's interesting.
Well, several months ago, I got switched off completely because they were disrupting the motorways. They were stopping ambulances. I have family who needed ambulances. And I thought, what is it? What is it we're all going to do? When you have a cause, Nick, you make people aware of it. You get people's sympathy for it, and you garner support for it. This is not the way to garner support for it. It really isn't.
They want you to lobby your MP to stop...
Which I have done.
for a commitment to no new oil, gas or coal. That is very broadly speaking what they want.
Yeah, I have lobbied my MP about lots of things. I always do when there is something that is worth being behind.
Right, OK.
When you get behind a group of people, it is because they are doing something for the greater good. Mm-hmm. Messing up lots of people's lives and interrupting people, going, we're here. Yes, we know you're there. Go and do something a little bit more proactive and a little less disruptive, please, and then you might get a few more people behind you. So, I have spoken to too many people who've said, well, they've lost me now.
What do we do about coverage? No more coverage or continue coverage? No more coverage.
No more coverage.
I love Bexhill. I was down there a couple of months ago, Bexhill-on-Sea. It's absolutely beautiful down there by the sea, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes, it is.
You're in a lovely part of the world. Look after yourself, Chrissy. That's another vote to stop coverage of Just Stop Oil. Thank you, Chrissy. Nigel in Cheltenham. What do you say? Do we carry on covering them or not? Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. I've got this massive man flu thing, so if I start coughing...
OK, so I'm sorry to hear that. Bad luck.
No. I think the bigger picture is really, really important. We are far, far too good at taking things out of the ground. Future useful resources that are being turned to tap and then sent to landfill a little while later. We have to stop burning carbon-based fuels. We have to stop...
OK. But as regards news coverage of what they do, events such as Twickenham and Wimbledon, Lords, what do we do? Do we... I mean, it's quite a big step to say we're not going to cover these things, you know?
It's a huge step, and I think that that the message is in the name, just stop oil. I think that if you stop the coverage, then you stop that voice.
So you would say yes or no to stopping it, just to clarify?
I would say no to stopping it.
You want to hear... But don't you think, lastly, you will fuel, more invasions? Next time it'll be the Gulf or whatever it might be. I don't know. I think the Open's coming up. Anyway, it'll be a sporting event of some sort. Aren't we just continually doing that?
I think that at the moment, with the amount of greenwashing going on, with the amount of disrespect and the amount of not acknowledging the problem by the government, I think at the moment that probably has some validity that there is disruption. Because
Nigel, get better. Thank you. Again, only finishing to get more people on. Catherine in Muswell Hill. Right, you're the editor or one of the editors of this show or a producer. What would you do? Good morning.
What would I do? I would cover the substantive story. The substantive story is climate change. It's not Just Stop Oil. It's not you. It's not me. It's not the editorial decisions on your show or any other show. It's climate change.
Right.
That is what this group...
But that won't stop them, of course.
But I'm not as focused as you are on stopping them. I'm trying to turn my attention to the substantive issue of climate change and what we can do societally, individually, collectively, politically.
But all you're doing then is ensuring that they'll disrupt more sporting events for more people.
But I don't particularly care.
Well, I'm sorry. I think that's a desperately That's a selfish. Yeah, but that's very selfish.
Please just let me answer. Why ask me a question and then not let me answer?
Because you have a selfish view.
I've been to Wimbledon, and obviously, if you're watching a match and it's disrupted for 20 minutes or half an hour for whatever reason, yeah, it's annoying. Of course it is. But climate change isn't annoying. Climate change is catastrophic.
No, I know, but hold on, it's the news coverage we're talking about. It's all we do by continuing
do you think that climate change is the news, or do you think that Just Stop Oil is the news? And where would you put them on the spectrum of major, minor, middling, slight interest?
Okay. My job is to try and entertain in an informing way and inform in an entertaining way. And when the Just Stop Oil representative said that I focus on interesting things and not on important things, that is possibly a conscious decision that we try and blend both. So, in terms of news, people running around a court at Wimbledon throwing gold confetti is obviously making news. I would argue that every sane person on the planet now knows that there's an issue with climate change. They just have to look at the weather that we went through actually this week with extraordinary downpours. So it is out there. And I can't stop the government. The point that Chrissy made in Bexhill-on-Sea, I cannot tell Mr Sunak to stop the licences or whatever. So what am I meant to do?
Let me answer that. What you're meant to do, because you do have a very big platform, don't you? And you say your job is to entertain in an informative way and to inform in an entertaining way. I don't find this issue one that is somehow... this is not an entertainment issue. This is a massive... No, hang on, please. You did speak, and I'm trying to answer. I just think that given that you have a very considerable platform, devoting as much time and energy and focus to what we can do to issues around carbon capture...
But I can't do anything.
Yes, you can.
I can't get Mr Sunak to change his policy.
But you can invite climate change scientists onto your programme to talk about the challenges of...
But we know the challenges.
No, we don't know what the solutions are because
no one knows what the solution is.
Yes, they do. If you go to Imperial College, they've got an entire department, focused on this, on what scientifically we can do to try and address this.
Catherine, I must move on to have other people. Thank you. You had 4 minutes, which is longer than a lot of people get. I'm grateful for your input. Laura in Bristol. Let's stay with the news ban, or not the news ban. What should it be? Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Nick. Lovely to speak to you again. Yeah, well, basically, I've got a 7-year-old son. And yesterday, my son asked me if he's ever going to get married one day.
Right.
And, I mean, how do I answer that question?
Well, if he finds the right girl or boy, and, who knows when Cupid's arrow will strike, Laura?
Well, I mean, I was thinking, will he have the chance to die old in his bed?
No, he won't. He'll be fine. Well, God forbid he catches it. No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Just as when I was his age, the world was going to come to an end because of the ozone layer, because I was using underarm deodorant. Honestly, we love to scare ourselves. Now, I say again, climate change is a massive issue. Of course it has to be addressed. Of course we have to take action. But the idea your 7-year-old son doesn't know if he'll live to get married, I find really disturbing, because that's frightening children, and that's not right.
Nick, will you let me speak? Thank you. Obviously, I told him, of course you will, my darling.
Good.
But through gritted teeth, I told him that. Why? You just, Nick, it's predicted that within the next few decades, a fifth of the planet will be unlivable for humans.
I guarantee it won't be. How many years did you say?
I haven't got the data to hand, but they're saying, I think, 20 or 30 decades.
I don't know that I'll still be around, but I wish, because I'd have a very big bet with you that won't happen. You're saying Nick, 20% of the planet will be uninhabitable. Never going to happen. Why do you scare yourself with this stuff?
This is not me. This is science. This is what the scientists are saying. So the United Nations said code red for humanity.
Right. Yeah.
Code red for humanity is what they said. Yes. And you said earlier that every sane person on the planet understands the dangers, but not our Prime Minister, apparently.
Well, he would argue, of course, that he's bringing in initiatives and that we're going greener now than we were going to go green. The argument is whether he's moving fast enough. Is your little boy all right now? That's the most important thing. Is he calm? Is he okay?
What do you mean, is he okay?
Well, he's not upset still, is he, about it?
No, sorry,
Good.
Nick, this is just a question. This is just a random question that a 7-year-old asked.
Yeah, no, I know, and I'm upset for him.
Like when he tells me what he wants to be when he grows up.
Yeah, I want him to be all happy and look forward to life and putting a life... Yeah, I think we've lost the line. Well, look after him. Give him a hug. Of course he can marry you. Of course he'll be around. Wow, these people are scared, aren't they? Richard's in Bedford. Hello, Richard. Shall we stop news coverage of all of this? Good morning.
Yes. Hello there. Yeah, definitely stop it. This has gone on too far. We all know the climate change, what's happening. The government know, and they are doing a lot. We just can't turn the tap off and stop oil just like that. It's going to take time and will happen as new science takes over. Yeah. I hate them now.
You hate them?
I hate these people. I do. I hate these people for what they're doing now. They're getting away. They should be locked up for a long time.
Well, I have to say, as they were racing around the court at Wimbledon, I was thinking of probably the hundreds of people who were there and the thousands, possibly millions of people actually who were watching on TV. And of course they chose that game because it was being televised. I say again, extraordinarily selfish. Richard, thank you. Calderville's Mike in Chester. Anything that brings attention to global warming and the demise of the planet is fine by me. Disrupting the Queen's funeral, Mike, would that have been okay? Louise in Twickenham, I understand and agree completely with what Just Stop Oil are trying to achieve. However, it does make me laugh. They didn't disrupt Glastonbury because they did consider that arena to be full of their people. Did they say that? Full of their people. They need to be more proactive than disruptive as they are. They're just annoying everyone.